Overall, I think we're pretty healthy. We had a lot of sick guys last week. Nobody injured, but a lot of sick guys, a lot of like puking and other stuff that happens when you're sick. So had some guys miss a little bit of practice last week, but overall pretty healthy from guys that have been out. Expect Bernie's got a chance to come and play this week. They said he's way ahead of schedule, so he'll be able to do some stuff today. So that would be a positive to get Amari Bernie back for the game. Zuniga's been cleared to go, so he should be practicing good to go today. To have him back for the game, and everybody else should be pretty healthy. Unless I'm missing somebody that you guys want to know about, you can let me know. What do you guys want to know about?
Looks like knockdown signings from Texas. He probably can't go home Thursday.
If he can get home and get back, that'd be interesting. I don't know all his personal travel means for all of that. We look into it to check, but with families come. But yeah, we finish up about 11:45, 12 o'clock, and guys are back at 2. So they have 26 hours of which to go home and get back.
Thank you.
When you reflect on this senior class, what's going to kind of stand out to you the most?
Reflect. No, I mean, you know what? When you come in, these guys have faced lots of different adversity throughout their career coming here, different head coaches, some ups and downs. But, personally for me, you're looking at guys that when I got here a couple years ago, asked them to buy into a certain way of doing things. And, even though that maybe, I know they were recruited to come to Florida and understand what it is to be a Gator to a point, but we were going to do things a little bit differently within our program than how they'd been done. And the guys bought into it. And, that's a big thing for me is those guys. I always, I told them right from the beginning, we'll be successful at some point. The sooner everybody buys in, the sooner we'll be successful. And those guys bought in, and we've had some success.
So do you remember going back 10 years? Your first Egg Bowl was like noon kick, and the Gators played FSU 3:30. So that was Tim Tebow's final game. Did you happen to catch? I'm sure you caught some of that game.
Wasn't concerned about that at all. I was celebrating an Egg Bowl win. I think probably had official visits on campus, I'm sure, whenever you're doing recruiting. So, yeah, I wouldn't have even.
So Tim wasn't even on your radar at that point.
Idea what was going on with that game, to be honest with you.
Well, it's the last time you have won in the swamp against FSU. Is that kind of hard to believe, or were you aware of that?
No idea about that. So I haven't.
You didn't realize the Gators haven't won in 10 years in the swamp against them?
No. I knew we won last year.
Was that something I mean,
I know they won. They lost the year before because I was watching the year before. Taking some phone calls. I knew they lost that one.
Pretty long stretch.
Huh? I was just watching, see what the team looked like. I did have family in town. I was flipping different games, so. No, I don't know. I don't even remember. I don't remember what I was doing 10 days ago. Yeah, it could be. Seems that way. They've had some really good teams, though, through that time frame, and, I guess you look back. I guess in that time frame, kind of Florida's been down a little bit, and they've had a couple of good teams. So I guess you can see why that happened.
When you look at this senior class, especially the guys who play a lot, is it kind of the new norm for college football in that you have some from one recruiting class, some from one, and then 4 transfers?
Well, I think that that whole deal is becoming more prevalent, and I think it's a different way of college football, of how things play out. And I don't know that it's the new norm. We'll see as time goes by, but it kind of seems to be a little more prevalent. We have some really good transfers on our team and guys that make major impacts on our team that are transfers. So, see how it goes and how it continues to go in the future, right? The crazy of it is some of those guys have grad transfers, which they should be eligible. Some are granted waivers, others are not. It's just nobody knows why they would make a decision. You know what I mean? You put the exact same story on the table for 2 kids, and one's eligible, one's not. So I don't know.
Do you ever think about where you would be without those 4 guys? Those 4.
Which ones?
That'd be Townsend, Grenard, Schuler, Jefferson. Yeah.
Grimes.
Yeah, but I'm talking about seniors.
Oh,
Those
that
are all-
transferred in. Like
Yeah,
those
that
4
transferred in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's for you. They're here, so I don't know. I try not to play all the what if games all the time, of that, because I think you can get lost. And but I think those guys have done an amazing job for us, and and bought into, like I said. I mean, the one to me is, hey, you come in as head coach and you say, hey, this is how we're going to do things, and it's a great feeling when the guys buy in and to believe into what you're trying to do and how you're trying to do it. Allows you to come together as a team, and it allows you to have success. And I think that's always a great thing and a feeling as a head coach of, like you were saying 10 years ago. I mean, what I remember from 10 years ago, I couldn't tell you anything about what happened here. But, I mean, I walked into a program that I think had lost that game 45-0 or something the year before, and had a multi-score win over a top 25 team. And that those seniors bought into what we tried to do 10 years or 11 years ago at Mississippi State in that game. So, that's a great feeling when you have those type of guys buy in and believe what you're trying to do.
Matt, we're here.
So when you were talking about Edgar's kind of street questions, you said Florida was obviously been down for a bit and FSU was up. Do you think the state can still support 2 really good teams? Because it's been a while since it had that. Yeah.
Well, it used to be it was always supporting 3, right?
It's been a bit though.
I don't know. UCF will make a claim over the couple of years. It was supporting a couple of good teams too, right? They're not going to shy away from that one, making that claim. So,
Thomas?
Dan, when you were on the spring speaking tour this spring, your message was kind of...
You guys and all this, like, what? Wait, remember what happened? Like,
I'm going back.
I need an attorney here for this. Like, this is like like Senate hearings right now.
Just get Steve. You were talking about how it's easier to go from 4 wins to 10 wins than maybe 10 wins to 11 or 11 to 12.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you first kind of started to give that message to this team?
Yeah, our first team meeting last year. When the team was born, you won the bowl game last year. We came back, so whenever it was in January for our first team meeting, that was the message. I mean, if you thought what we did last year was good enough, do the exact same thing, but don't expect us to be any better than we were. We can only, we could be that at the top. We could get less than that. So, really, the first team meeting, that was the message.
How do you feel like these guys have embraced that?
Really good. I think you can see that. I think we had a great offseason working hard. I think guys believing they can win. I think when you look at the adversities we've had to face this year with injuries and other things that we've had to face, you look at how guys have bought in to what we're doing and bought in and believed in that, and really the confidence they have in the expectations they have to go win games. You go out there on the field, there's a lot of guys on our sideline expect to win the games, and I don't know that was the case the year before. I mean, they wanted, they were hoping to win the games, and they thought it would be good. You had a team in this offseason that said, "Hey, we're going to put in the work so we can have the opportunity to be better."
I'm going to take you back even further to the
Holy
early
cow.
2000s. When Brian Johnson was first playing for you at Utah, how much of an idea did you have, like, I want him on my staff one day, or did it just kind of organically come around later?
Granted, he was 17 years old. When he was 17 years old playing in the Fiesta Bowl game at the end of the season. So he was 17 his entire first year that he was with me, and then I ended up leaving after that year. So I didn't know. You never know what's going to happen for him in his life, but I knew he would. When he decided to get into coaching, he would be something he would probably be good at. He was a great student of the game. Even when, you're talking about a young guy at 17 years old that's sitting in staff meetings. We had Alex Smith, who was quarterback at the time, was already graduated, so he didn't have to go to school a whole lot. So he spent a lot of time game planning with the coaches and in the meetings. And, we'd be watching the film at night and Brian would just kind of follow Alex around and try to do what he was doing. And so he spent a lot of extra time in the meeting. So I think he had a different view of maybe what coaching was going to be about from the beginning. And how his playing career, even after he left, he was hurt got injured in a season and missed a year with an injury, where he was able to, he was a guy that didn't shy away. It wasn't like, I'm hurt, I'm not showing around. He really kind of helped, was around a coach and be involved that way. So I think it was just kind of in him. And, once you knew that, I knew all along if that was something you want to do, he'd be good at it.
And then how did that come around when you did hire him at Mississippi State? Did he reach out to you?
Yeah, no, he was, I was just always in touch with him throughout all the years. We always stayed close and stayed in contact throughout all the years. So, when he got into coaching, was always supportive of that. And when we had a job opportunity come open, it was easy for me to call and say, I'd love to hire you. And it was great to have him, want to come on board.
What does he bring to that room?
Well, you're looking at a guy that has, to me, it's a great deal because the guy, I coached a little bit, not a ton, but I coached a little bit, that played the position, played at an extremely high level, is a younger guy that relates to everybody in the room, is extremely intelligent. So, he coaches the quarterbacks in a way that I like them to be coached, even though he has his own personality to it. We're different in how we coach them. But we work very well together in that way, and have the same goal. And, and he's extremely intelligent, brings a lot to the coaching and the technique part of the game, has a great understanding of playing the position and what it is to be a quarterback on the field, and then obviously extremely intelligent within his scheme, game planning, and play calling. So he brings an awful lot.
Robbie.
As a play caller, how challenging is it when you don't have a consistent conventional running game?
It's pretty easy. Just call other plays. You guys remember there's so many plays and so little time. We're still probably, I think, we have a whole list of every play that's been in all the game plans this year. And we could go, if I just called plays that we had in game plans and haven't run this year, could probably get through 2 to 3 games with those plays. So it's pretty easy.
I guess a lot of coaches will tell you have to have perfect balance. You have to be able to run the ball to win in this league. You guys have.
Well, we do have.
Without.
I think we have unbelievable balance. Right, we throw it equally to all the different receivers.
Good. In the back, you pass it back, Robbie. Have you used that one before?
Like that one? No, there you go.
Dan, how important is it to have an undefeated record in the Swamp this year, and how does that relate, for example, toward recruiting?
Well, I think to be successful in the conference, you got to be able to win at home. I think that also has an awful lot to do with not just the team and how we play. Honestly, it has a lot more to do with our fan base and the Gator Nation and how our student body and all the fans and everybody pack the stadium and create a home field advantage. I think that's one of the biggest things there are. I've said it for years and years and years. You want to win, pack the stadium. Not we win and then if we win, the fans like, hey, if you win, we'll show up. It actually works the other way. You show up and we'll win. And and if you look at how the stadium's been this year, the excitement, the energy within the stadium for our home games has been awesome. And as a result of that, we've won, and hopefully the same thing continues. We have an unbelievable environment on Saturday night. We have a packed stadium, loud, makes it hard for the visiting team, and because of that helps carry us on to a victory, in which, I think our fans would have as much to do with us going undefeated at home as the players and the coaches.
And winning on Senior Day, how important is that for the recruits? Because you're going to have a packed bench there.
Just winning this game, obviously, you're probably going to have a lot of people watching it. Obviously, it's a big rivalry game, exciting game. There'll be, a lot of probably recruits coming to this game because the type of game it is. So I think always, anytime you do that, it helps. But they come, they want to see what's the environment, what's it like, what's the energy within the stadium. Is this a place I want to play? I think that's how people look at it, recruiting, when they come to see the game. So again, winning will help, but also our fans creating that environment will help. Just and all of that together leads to one goal, which is us trying to find a way to get a win.
Not sure when exactly we'll get to talk to you again. So now that you've had a couple of years to get used to this, when
Might blackball everybody for a while. I'm going on sabbatical.
just peace out.
I'm talking.
After the regular season is over, I know you have to get into bowl prep, but how do you balance that along with the early signing day now that you've kind of had some time to get used to
Yeah,
it?
you don't sleep. It's a hectic schedule. It's one of those. It's one of the craziest times of year because you're looking at, a 7:30 Saturday night game. So by the time I'm done with all the obligations with everything, probably 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30. You get home probably about 1 o'clock in the morning. You have official visits on campus. By the time you're meeting with all the unofficial visitors, you kind of get up, you wrap up, you have official visits on Sunday on campus, and then you're in home starting Sunday night. And, essentially you basically, you're traveling Sunday to Friday. You practice Friday. Then you're hosting official visits and practice Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you're traveling Sunday to Friday again. And, then the tricky one is you have no idea where you're going or who you're playing. They let you know that, and, you're kind of, that gets to be a scrunch schedule because you're trying to fit game planning in around all of those other things. And then you have signing day. Right in the middle of kind of your weekly practice, which kind of throws that all off. It's a little bit of an emotional roller coaster that you're absolutely exhausted from.
Edgar? What's been different?
What's been different about Florida State these couple games under Hagens?
Well, I think you're always going to have, I don't know, a lot different, a little bit different, and a little bit different with scheme. No, they won games before, too. They'll only have 2 games, one against, not knocking an Alabama State, or any of that stuff, but, one against Alabama State. So, what you try to do is find just what is the different personality? What are they going to do differently? What's the scheme that's different? Are there different guys playing? Are they running a different rotation? That, normally this time of year you can go sit down and I'm sure everybody's got their tendencies and, hey, this idea and that idea, and you know what they're going to do. And now they kind of, head coach always is going to be influencing that. The head coach is always going to have a little bit of influence on what the personality of the team and how they're doing it. And when you kind of remove that, if you take me out, if you just take me away from the team this week, there's going to be a little different personality with the team. I don't, not a whole lot would change, like with how we run the program, but, it would, there would be a little different personality with it. Now theirs is probably going to be a little bit more of a drastic personality because it's, you've removed the head coach who's not coming back, and everyone there trying to kind of, I don't want to say it's restrictions. It's just, hey, the head coach's influence that was there is removed, and so a little different personalities come out, how they call, how they game plan, how they scheme, who plays, and so that's what we got to be prepared for.
You haven't been around a number of All-American players. Is John Grenard having an All-American season in your opinion?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. He is. He's playing at that level. I think. I think when you look at those things, as some of them get tough because it's not just are you playing at that quality, but you got to somewhat have statistics to match it, and I think he's doing both. And I think that's always kind of the hard thing sometimes, because you're compared. There's 128 teams in the country of guys that are trying to get to be All-Americans, and not everybody, you don't know about all of those different guys and all of those different players, and so stats come into it too. And so you got to kind of have I'm playing great, performing at a high level, and I'm statistically putting up numbers. So I think he's done all of that.
One more, please. On David Rees specifically. What's just having his leadership, productivity, football IQ, all that just meant to this defense and transitioning?
I think it's great because David's, is a guy that, again, has bought in. He's a hard worker. He kind of fits what we want in the program as a guy that gives you everything he has, shows up every day to be his best. As a lunch pail guy, going to come to work, come and give you what he has every day. And, as a team captain for us, as a leader for the guys, because I think everybody respects that. I say, hey, here's a guy that every day shows up and gives you everything he has and has had a lot of success throughout his career, made a lot of tackles, put up really good numbers for us. And, and I think everybody on the team really respects him for that.
I don't know how emotional you've been at senior days in the past, but what about this one? Is this because these guys did kind of get Florida football going the right direction?
Yeah, it's always a little bit of emotional to me. I'm more emotional in to see where guys have come, where they've come from, and how they've grown. And I think that is a big part of it. So you have the two aspects, right, of the emotion, which is, hey, I showed up and had an idea of how I want the program to be, and these guys believed in me, and so that's a really special deal emotionally. And then I also get to look at them and say, hey, I know how far these guys have come, and that's emotional. And so that's what makes it kind of an emotional day. And for a lot of these guys, it'll be the last time they ever play football, and that's more emotional for them. But when you know that, this is, we'll get a bowl game, so it wouldn't be their last. But, it's kind of last time in the swamp, and it kind of feels that, it feels that way in a lot of different ways, that it is kind of this is your game. And so I think that's what makes it emotional.
When you were here before, you never lost to FSU during your time here. How important is this game? And I know it's a rivalry game, but beating the team that you basically go most head-to-head with on recruiting, et cetera.
Well, I think it's huge. I don't ever know that it has much of a recruiting effect, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's certainly the taste in your mouth effect is huge of winning this game. You want to finish off the year with a win. And obviously you want to finish off, in state, you want to finish off the year with a win. And I know, when you have in-state rivals like this, it is such a big deal. It's not like, hey, it's our state against their state, people you don't see. These are people, that you see and that you're neighbors with year round, and the bragging rights when you have an in-state rivalry game that you win, I think are a little bit different than other rivalry games. And not just for us or the team, but the fans and for everybody, because this is like this is a neighbor to neighbor, not a state to state rival.
Any final questions for Coach? Mark? Can you remember, is there a team that you've ever lost to from the state of Florida other than the one time you lost to Florida at Mississippi State? I think it was your first year. You're undefeated against Miami, 2-0. You're undefeated against Florida State, 5-0. You would have never lost to USF.
I lost to USF at Bowling Green.
USF
as an assistant coach back in 2000.
You remember that one?
I remember losing. I can't tell you what year it was, but I can kind of tell you from year to year games.
Does that mean anything to you? Does it matter on the?
I love winning.
On the there's that.
I do love to win. I've never thought of it that way, to be honest with you. I'm focused on winning this game, and I'm focused on winning this game because it is a rivalry game. The last game of the regular season, I want to get a win, and because I want to have that great taste in my mouth. There's a lot you want to win. You want to send the seniors out the right way. You want to finish with 10 wins in the regular season. You want to get to a great bowl game. You want to be undefeated in the swamp. All of those to me motivate you. Most of all that motivates you, if anybody, I would say that most, that when we show up here on Saturday, they're going to light up the scoreboard and they're going to keep score. All those other things are awesome, but I don't need, as a competitor, that's all the motivation you need, that they're just going to keep scoring the game. I don't need anything even beyond that.
17 years ago, you lost
that was a pretty good team too. We had a decent team, but that was a good team.
Is that the team that is USF team that went to number 2?
No. It was way before that. That was like kind of when they were just jumping up or whatever. They had some players. Huh? Yeah, they had some players that year. That was a good team.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Good memory.
Uh-huh.
Good memory.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean, you flash like, hey, do you remember, like,
1994.
did we win? Like, I could have never told you the score.
I'm surprised you didn't like at least check out a minute at Tebow's time. Getting you guys' relationship and all that.
I was too busy celebrating my Egg Bowl victory right there. Huh? That was big, you know. Of course, Tebow was really Tebow. Exactly.
On senior day. It is crazy.